All right, we are live.
Yeah, all the way live.
All the way live. Let's make sure the audio is good. Yep, we got to read
Test,
there.
test, test.
Cool. All right, let me get the chat up so we don't miss anything, and we will jump right on in the spirit of everybody's time.
All right.
All right. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
How was your week?
It's pretty good. No complaints. No complaints.
Okay. Well, if you had them, as my dad would say, well, nobody gonna listen. No
No waste of time.
Yeah, mine was busy too. But I'm thankful to be here on a Saturday morning, able to see you, talk to you, and then hopefully, bless somebody through what we have to share.
Yeah,
So,
we will.
so we're two brothers talking, and we are typically talking.
That's good.
Definitely
that's
two
why we're here.
brothers.
I'm
Definitely
a
two
brother.
brothers.
You a brother.
Yeah. hmm With an A. So with an A, with an ER and an A. So today, just jumping right on in, we had a series going for the family unit, the power in the family unit.
Yep.
We've gone through everything from the father figure, the mother figure, the economics, and we've gone through kind of children impacts and lots of different extended family. We've gone through a whole lot of topics, and we've had 5 episodes on this. It doesn't even seem like it, but
Right.
we've had 5 episodes on this series, which is exciting, and a lot of those episodes have gotten quite a bit of interest. So I'm really hopeful that this has blessed someone so far. Well, we're gonna put a finale on this series
Yeah.
today with the 6th episode, sixth and final, which is centered around raising men for rebuilding boys, fathers, and family. And this will we'll start off like we normally do, which is some facts.
Okay.
And just kind of some of these facts are tied to facts we've mentioned before, but each episode we try to include some newer facts, some like maybe a deeper perspective of beyond what we'd already shared before. So a couple of facts, to kind of get us started, that really I think caught my attention even more than what we had talked about prior, as
Mhm.
far as family, household structures and the implications of that and how this stuff really affects the world. We're not looking to have these conversations without making sure that we're solving problems. Like,
Right.
So like the problems, a few of them are as follows. Like one, fewer than half of the US households, 47%, are married couple households as of 2025, down from 65% 50 years ago. 50 years ago ain't that long. Like
Right.
me and you are almost that old. So
Yep.
so it's in that context, like that's not that long ago.
Right. Right.
Only 37% of married couple households include children, compared to 54% in 1975.
Okay.
That's interesting. That's a major shift in like how children experience the family structure for sure. Um, so states vary in percentage on this, but children living with married parents showing deeper structural differences in family stability across the country. So you got a lot of varied family experiences, family expectations, which ultimately lead to a person coming from a family dynamic of X and a person coming from a family dynamic of Y
Right.
getting together. Those expectations are going to be broadly different. So it makes like coupling, people meeting and jiving and getting on the same page much more difficult when they become adults. That's not something that explicitly it says, but like that is something that kind of connected for me when I read those stats together.
Which leads to the first stat, which is you have less. What was the first stat again?
Yeah, you have fewer than half of the US households, 47%, are married couple households as of 2025, down from 66% 50 years ago.
So I can see where like, hey, you tried it, this ain't working. So I'm just gonna go the single route. I can see it going there.
Yeah, like basically, and say that in a less like com, automatic or computer oriented way. There are a third less married households with children than there were 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Like that's a big number, man.
Yeah.
That's that defines how you see the world in a lot of ways. How you grow up in that. Um, and so the last maybe statistic or data point to mention is sure there's a myriad of survey forums, and all of these are state or federal run. There's a couple of these surveys that were done by private institutions too. So
Okay.
in aggregate, they show a rising concern about the cost of raising children, which directly affects the family formation and stability, tying back to what we talked about last week, which is the economics part.
Yeah.
Right. So now you have these broadly varied, structural experiences growing up in the family and in the household, which leads to value system differences. And then you put the economic pressure on top of that that comes with that. Like you have almost a bit of a powder keg waiting to blow up.
Yep. Yep.
Right. So then fast forward to now, the other data, the last data point that connected in my head at least was like, that's why divorce rate is so high. It continues to be as high as it's ever been. That's why, because of all those things I just mentioned,
Right.
compounded with life and political pressure and financial pressure and all of those things, and you almost might find it easier just to be alone.
Yeah. Yeah. I can be by myself, kind of eliminate some of the stresses I see other people dealing with,
Mhm.
and kind of enjoy life. I can focus on me, like,
Right.
and that is attractive to a lot of people.
Right.
Yeah.
There was a word uh, that was floating around real heavy for. It was a social media driven word that was
Mhm.
floating around heavy for a while. I felt like I heard it in every post. Narcissism or
Yeah.
narcissist,
Yep.
and people were weaponizing that word a lot, not really even understanding what it meant. But the truth is, we all are narcissists.
Yeah.
In some capacity. We're varying degrees
Yeah. Yeah.
of narcissism. But what you just said, like, it's a textbook narcissist. Like, I can just do this on my own. Like, I don't need nobody else. Like, it's
Right.
just me. Like, I'm better off by myself. Like, well, are you? Are you just better off not in the dynamic that you were in with that person? Like maybe there was some tools you didn't have. Maybe it was the wrong person. Maybe you needed to grow some.
Right.
Like, or all of the above.
Right.
So it's just kind of interesting how I felt we society, like, we were weaponizing that word for the longest time
Right.
as a fad, and like beating people over the head with it, and it was the pot calling the kettle black. Like, it was like,
Yeah. We all are narcissists
yeah,
to some degree, like
to
you
some
said.
degree, yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe to open this up and tie it into like raising men for rebuilding, boys, fathers, and family, to tie that in, maybe to start us off. What did you how do you attribute the way that you see boys, because you do mentoring, like, you talk to a lot of young men. What are the themes in boys that you see today that you feel might be problematic for them becoming fathers and stewards of the family?
Yeah. I think the number one thing is what a mentor is. It's kind of a model, a support system.
Hmm.
I think kids today, young men specifically, they need an example. I mean, that's what a child is in general. Like, we're seeds. Like, we grow. There's something in us. We got DNA that, hey, when you begin to grow, stuff comes out that you didn't even realize were there. So we're like seeds. We need somebody to cultivate the seed. We need somebody to come in and pull the weeds out sometimes. We need somebody to, like, if I'm growing this way, I need somebody to pull me and keep me upright. So it's like, I think kids in general, they need that guidance, they need that example. Like, how does a kid become a man? I'll say a young boy become a man if he doesn't know what is a man? Like, what does that look like? So then they're stuck with, like, social media, and it just doesn't, not gonna turn out well. If all these different people all across the world who have varying views and ideas and perspectives, if they're teaching my young son how to become a man, that's a scary thought, because he's actually just going to naturally gravitate to, like, what he wants, what his desires,
Hmm.
and you become unbalanced. So in general, I think young people, they need something to look at and say, oh, this is what it's supposed to look like. And then they get that pressure to be formed into that image. So I think that example is, for me, what I see is like the number one thing that our young people are struggling with.
And they're, like, just missing.
Yep.
And I think that has a lot to do with why moms in particular, just because, I mean, you go to a church and there are likely more women in that church than men.
Yeah.
Especially, I would say, in any church, but in the black church particularly, black women have had to, kind of be that spiritual pillar, probably more than ideal. And in that situation, I think what led my mom to that for sure was that's where I was getting the male role model you know,
Right.
conversation probably a lot more overtly. Like it was in front of me that it wasn't just like this is what a man is. It wasn't just the definition,
Right.
but that helped. It was more like this is your purpose.
Right.
Like as a male on this earth, your purpose is to lead in every capacity. And if you are not prepared to do that, you will lead to destruction instead of leading to construction.
Right.
Whoever's following you will be led to destruction, and it'll be on your hands. Like it was that. Honestly, that's as a kid. Even I felt that kind of pressure to at least be prepared to the best that I could to lead. Like it's almost like, man, I don't want to let anybody down.
Right.
Like that was the pressure, the simple minded pressure that I had as a kid of don't be the type of young man or boy that becomes the young man that becomes the middle aged to old man who is not leading or is leading people into the grave.
Yeah.
Like that in its most carnal way. That's the way I thought about it. And I don't think a lot of kids or a lot of boys have that pressure today. Or I say pressure, just have that guidance. Like or that purpose. They don't have a purpose. The purpose is to get money. The purpose is to get out of the house. The purpose is to maybe, have a nice car or whatever. And
Right.
all those things can come with the same purpose I just mentioned. So like, but it's like that's the only purpose, like to
Yeah.
become famous, to become known, to find a girl,
Yeah.
like what like those are all like milestones or
Right.
accomplishments, but that's not your purpose.
Right.
And I think they're almost purposeless,
Yep.
and that I think is a reflection on us because it's not about like any man who's looking at who's not with their with their child's mother and is looking at her like she somehow is responsible for that. Like, nah, you're responsible for that. Like until they become men, like you're responsible for that.
Yeah.
And once you're a man, like one could argue, well, now you like your choices are yours.
Right.
But as young men, I do think that's got a lot to do with what's missing. And I guess what are coming out of that scenario, what are the things you think that boys have to, based on the themes you see, that boys need to unlearn? Like, what do you think? Do you think that they have some values and principles that actually work are counter to becoming like valuable fathers and men in the world?
Yeah. I think what you just said a second ago is like young people don't have purpose. So when you don't really have purpose, there's this lack of passion, and then you kind of gravitate to things that bring you pleasure, which
Mm,
ends up leading down a path. As a man, I got to make decisions based on how do I become fruitful, as opposed to like in the moment, what do I do to make me feel good? So if a child or a young man doesn't have that guidance there, then they just continue to gravitate. Social media gives you pleasure. Like I got 3 seconds to hook you and to get you to buy in. Like that's how it works. So it's
mhm.
like if they're constantly feeding off of that, then that's when you get in trouble. That's when you're like, hey man, let's go do this. It's gonna be fun. All right, let's go do it. If I don't have any purpose, if I don't have that passion for life, then it's so easy to kind of get off track. And so I think they gravitate to what makes them feel good in the moment, and that's not a good recipe for a good life.
So what I just heard you say is the thing that every man who has it should give to every boy around them is a North Star.
Yep. Yep.
But like it doesn't mean you have to be some Bible thumping, got Jesus tatted across your chest kind of person. Like you don't have to be that type of person
Right.
to recognize in your nephew or in your son or even in your daughter that they don't have a North Star,
Right.
and you owe them that, right? And if you can't give it to them, you may have to face a reality that you don't have a North Star.
Yep. Well, if you think about life, all the different aspects of life are centered around some kind of North Star, even if we don't always agree on what that North Star is. So
Mhm.
when you're driving your car, you should drive a certain way. Like I don't want to get caught up in road rage. I need to follow the speed limit. Like there's all
Mhm.
these different things. Like it's just whatever you go to when I'm spending with my money. Like I don't want to get caught up in gambling and get addicted to that, or I don't want to get into other stuff where I'm wasting money. Like I need to have some responsibility with how I handle my money. So like every kind of field, every area has like this North Star, and we got to respect that North Star.
Hmm.
What our young people sometimes are learning is like, I don't have to respect this North Star. I'll create my own North Star, and I'm just gonna do what I want to when I feel like it. And so, yeah, as a father, as a parent, I got it. I'm not looking for perfection. I just need to make sure I've instilled in you this concept of a North Star of boundaries, and that you have the ability to respect that North Star. I think like
Hmm.
a lot young people, they think freedom is like I get to do whatever I want to do. You do whatever you want to do, you're going to actually find out what bondage is. Real freedom is like I have the ability to say yes to myself, and I also have the ability to say no to myself. And so I think that all kind of ties into this North Star concept we're talking about. It's like they need to know, like, even if I choose to go this way, I still understand what the direction is I need to be going in life.
Yeah, yeah. So no, wasn't necessarily in the exact kind of prep that we did, but like that freedom comment really is interesting because
Mhm.
I do think that men, old and young, are they think we all thought at some point we were looking for freedom. That what you're actually looking for, that you're using the word freedom to describe, is control,
Yeah.
right? And the main thing that you can control and that you should control that we don't is self.
Yeah.
So it's like I want the ability to say yes and no based on my value system and what I think is right.
Right.
If I can't say yes and no, that is the definition of not being free.
Right.
And you are the one putting yourself in bondage.
Yep.
And I think tying that to this topic, I got a I was talking to my youngest son Gabriel earlier this week, and it was a reminder that actually kind of made me a little sad and then immediately happy, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
But the sad part came from like he's told me straight up, like I'll probably butcher his words, but it's not so many words. He was like, "Dad, I'm really thankful that you did what you did grow with me growing up. I was I was not open to you. Like I
Okay.
did not want to hear what you were talking about."
Right. Right.
And him acknowledging that took me back to those years, because it was years, it was most of his childhood, most of all of their childhood,
Right.
and where they just bucked the system. It's just like it's like, well, no, go left, go, I'm going right. Like it's just I want freedom. I want to be able to do what I want to do,
Right.
or I don't think you know better than me.
Right.
and and then, like anybody, I got real frustrated with that over the years, but I didn't stop. I just kept doing it.
Yeah.
And I was hopeful, faithful, that eventually what the Bible says would happen, that you show them the way and they'll return to it. They'll come
Yeah.
back to it. And it's like now he's getting so close to God, with his with the new environment of college and like being around some people that are I think also going on that journey. Is He's going on that journey now, and he's so much more in tune with Christ today than he was before, which
Yeah.
happens to be our value system.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm thankful. I'm really thankful for that. And I just kept reflecting, like, man, what if those times where I was genuinely ready to just stop putting in that kind of effort and getting rejected all the time?
Right.
What if I had stopped?
Especially in a blended family,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
so easy to be kind of like,
it is.
you know what, I don't want to overstep my boundaries. Like there's a lot goes into that.
Yeah.
So it's so easy. It would have been real easy for you to just kind of take a step back.
So putting vulnerability cards on the table, because you mentioned the blended family. I'll tell you an exact thought I had, and we can move on. I genuinely had thoughts like, I got so their biological dad is nowhere to be found. Doesn't seem to have any interest in taking care of them in any way, in any capacity that's meaningful.
Right.
I worked really hard to try to even keep their relationship with him straight. Like I was dealing with him, trying to encourage him to talk to him, and so that way they didn't feel neglected or discarded. And I'm putting in all this extra investment
Right.
that I don't see any dads around me doing.
Right.
Like, I mean, biological or otherwise. And I'm just like, am I doing too much? Like, am I expecting too much of myself? Is it reasonable?
Right.
Do I owe that to them to do that? And where I landed, to just finish that thought so that nobody like maybe takes away something out of that that they shouldn't.
Right.
Where I landed was God was like, and because I prayed about it, and God was just one of many evenings. God was just like, hey, I don't know if you understand like why I put you in this situation. It ain't for them.
Right.
That's for me. Like you don't owe them the way you think. You owe me out of responsibility to me. I'm God. Like,
Right. Right.
did you forget how your life started?
Right.
How you were adopted at birth? You could have been aborted. That was the original plan.
Right. Yep.
And that's not me putting words in God's mouth. I was told that was the original plan. And then my biological dad wouldn't let that happen.
Right.
So like I saved you.
Right.
So what now you too busy to save them?
Right.
Be a part of their saving? Like, come on, man. And I get to work. Like it was just kind of like I had some of those moments where you just like, you must forgot.
Yep.
I already brought you through so much more than that.
Yeah.
And now you're gonna be the stand between. Like, you see how I used your mama to save you?
Right.
Like you no.
That keeps him the North Compass.
It does.
It's not it's not really about you. It's actually always about him.
Yeah.
Even if I sin against you, I really have sinned against God. Yes, I've offended
100%.
you. I've done something against you, but like ultimately, it points up to Him.
100%.
So that's a powerful perspective to have.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you need to do it because I want you to do it.
Right.
I'm calling you to do it.
Period.
If without it speaks to the delayed like without any kind of gratification, you might not ever see the results. You were blessed enough to have that conversation with your son, but it's like, what if some people you do those things and you never get to see the fruit of it,
right?
You know, and it's like, but you did what you're supposed to do.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's exactly right. So I guess maybe taking that into kind of another step. What do you feel? Like we just talked about some of the ways, some of the things we see today with young men,
right?
And how that can show up and be challenging to create better fathers, better family units. What are some of the wounds that you think young men are carrying forward that stand in the way of them being good fathers and like good stewards of family? Do you think there's some wounds that are thematic?
Yeah, I think if you don't, let's just say your father's not around. The question you're like faced with is like, why? You know, and some kids internalize it like, what did I do? Why don't you want me? And so like it's hard to get past that. Not to mention there's like this resentment. I know a young man who his dad wasn't around, and then he's like, why didn't my dad want me? Like, why wasn't he there? You know, like he's got his own family over here somewhere else. Like, why you don't? What's wrong with me? And then it's like now you got to deal with forgiveness. And then it's like if that father is still present, if he's still alive on this earth, if he's gone, how do you get resolution? How do you get some kind of closure? That makes it like 10 times harder because it's like I can't even tell him how angry I am. I can't. What do I do with all these emotions? Like, I mean, you're left with either frustrating your mom because it's like I need to do something with this, or I internalize it and keep it here and like struggle through life. I'm angry. I'm frustrated. Like, how do I relate to my own kids if I have kids? How do I relate to a woman? Like, it plays into all this stuff, and then ultimately it's like I'm angry with God. Like, I ain't got nothing to do with who my parents are. Like, why'd you allow this to happen? So I think, like, generally speaking, like when there's not that family structure of some sort where you have the presence of a mom and a dad or someone who represents those figures in your life, that's a lot of pressure on a kid who's developing, kind of forming their worldview, all these things, and they have to deal with all these emotions that they don't know what to do with. So that's hard.
I agree. You said a mouthful there. Like I can't even hardly get my thoughts together to react to that. I know we normally end, toward the end of the session, we always include some like suggestions and tools that are tangible. And I don't want to wait till the very end to say it because it's on my mind now after you just shared that. I would encourage any young man or even like just adult male that's trying to be a good father or trying to figure it out, but particularly young men, if you can write, Like I'm talking like 8, 9, 10 and up. If you can write well and articulate your thoughts, one way to deal with what you just described
Mm-hmm.
is to start with this is two-step program. Like first step, write down everybody you're mad at.
Okay.
Like who are you mad at? Don't overthink the question. Write that question. Who am I angry with?
Right.
Question mark. Write the list. Have enough paper because maybe you're mad at a lot of people. Maybe you're only mad at a few people. And God's name can be on that list.
Right.
There's nobody who's exempt from your list.
Right.
After you do the first step, you write down the list and you punctuate that list. Like don't edit it anymore after you write it down. The next day, and don't do any more that day. Next day, give yourself some time and write out why you're mad at every one of those people.
Okay.
Go through that exercise. Meaning, what would you tell that person if they were standing in front of you, if they could hear you, and make it about how you feel.
Okay.
How did it impact you? And how do you feel? Don't accuse them of anything because you don't know the circumstances. You can't read their minds. You couldn't read their minds at the time. You have no idea why they did what they did. So
Right.
don't make assumptions. That's a futile, endless tunnel that's dark. Instead, it's about you. This tool is for you.
Right.
So get out how you feel. And then after you do that, the rest of the tool is your decision. Because it is control. Decide what you're gonna do with it. If those people are still around and you feel that after putting that on paper, you could have a real constructive conversation,
Right.
go have the conversation. If those folks are not around anymore, understand that you got it out.
Yeah.
Because part of them being around, you think is so that you can say it and so they can hear it and you can see their reaction and you can get some apology. But I promise you, no apology will make whatever hurt you have go away.
Right.
You getting it out will make it start to heal.
Right.
It won't go away, but it'll start to heal.
Yeah.
And so do the two-step program. Write it down and a different day, come back to it and write out why, how did that make you feel? Why were you upset? And like be vulnerable. Nobody's supposed to read that but you. Like be super vulnerable. After you get done and you have the conversations you want to have, or you feel relief, you pray about that and burn it if you want. Like whatever you want to do. Put it away in your safe, put it away in your drawer, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
don't keep it all inside.
Right.
Get it out.
Yep.
And sometimes you reading it will make you think about things differently.
Yeah, that's good. That's good advice. I know one a monumental moment in my life. I had went through something and I was angry at a particular person, but I was walking around frustrated and angry. And I was also angry at God that I had to go through that.
Mm-hmm.
And because I felt like in the situation I was doing the honorable thing and then I still got hurt. And so I'm like, I'm blaming God to some degree. And so I remember I was getting in my car and I sat in my car and closed the door and I said, somebody might think it's blasphemy. I said, Lord, I forgive you.
Mm.
And he hadn't done anything wrong. It was just my way of saying, I'm offended at what you allowed to happen in my life, and I'm gonna let that offense go. And I think that's biblical because like when John the Baptist was in prison,
Mm-hmm.
John the Baptist sends his disciples to Jesus and says, are you the Christ or do we wait for another? In my mind, John the Baptist already knew who Jesus was. He baptized Jesus. So in that moment, like the way it reads is like John the Baptist, like, why am I sitting in prison? Why aren't you doing all the things that I expected you to do?
Yeah.
And Jesus'
That's
response to him, he says, he tells John, he says, go tell John, the lame, the blind see, the lame walk, so on and so forth. He's like, see my works. And then he says, and blessed is he who is not offended in me. So it was like, it's like him saying, John, you might not understand what I'm doing right now, but you're gonna have to just let it go.
Mm-hmm.
Blessed is the person who can not be offended. Like, even though there's an offense there, you are angry, you are upset, you don't understand. You got why. He doesn't explain it. He just says, John, trust me, you're gonna be blessed if you can just deal with it. And that's what we have to do sometimes. It's like, God, yes, he let you went through that. It was horrible. I don't know why. You're not gonna, a lot of times you're not gonna get the answer to that question.
You're not.
You're just not. And if you can accept that, there's a freedom, there's a blessing in just saying, you know what, man, I know he's the Christ, and this is my path, and it might be time for me to leave this earth, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and it is what it is. John, now we're talking about John the Baptist years and years down the road. And so it's like, you just gotta, man, it's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just saying, like, man, you gotta deal with it. You gotta put closure on that stuff. Whether it's your relationship with God, whether it's a relationship with your father that wasn't there, somebody who's offended you, like young people, to the degree that we can teach them to deal with this stuff as opposed to like, man, this I'm a prove to him he should have never left me. You know, like that's great. It is great motivation. Like I've seen people do some significant things being motivated by proving themselves to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point, you still come back to the same place of like, now what do I do with all this anger and frustration? It got me to this point here, but now it's also messing up my life
Yeah.
because I don't know how to deal with it. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Thanks. Yeah, that brings a lot of these concepts together too. About like it's the emotional side of what's going on in the mind when you're enduring through these things, and when men are trying to do the right thing sometimes, and like struggling with not knowing,
Yeah.
why, what, like that why is hard,
Yeah.
and having that North Star will see you through that why, because
Yeah.
you just might not ever find out. Like you're not supposed to know everything. It's just that's just the way it is. Um, I guess maybe one place to end, to kind of bring us to a closure. Like we are really talking about like this in the context of rebuilding. Like how do we drive, the family unit to be improved?
Right.
And I think one final piece that I would ask for you to comment on is, there is a lot of there are some open wounds that I think young men are struggling with, and I think that if they could get some closure on some things, it would leave less for them to try to juggle all at once.
Right.
And some of that closure can come in the form of acknowledgement or an apology. And I thought, one way to conclude this is in a vulnerable state, for us to maybe demonstrate what we would encourage them to do.
Okay.
I'll ask you this question in that demonstration.
Okay.
What is what's one apology you wish you had received or could receive that you feel like would bring some closure to something that stands in your way emotionally?
I think like as a young person, I grew up in like predominantly white Christian schools.
Mm-hmm.
That put me, it was like a rock. I was between a rock and a hard place.
Mm-hmm.
So like on one end, there was this pressure to like please white people. Because I knew like if I
To be acceptable.
to be acceptable.
Okay.
And even so it's like I knew, and it happened to me, that if I offend you, I'm gonna be the N-word now. I literally experienced that where it was like, man, this is my friend. I thought this is my friend, and then I offended you, and it's like just like and it blew me away. Like this is my friend.
Mm-hmm.
So like there's that pressure there. Like
Mm-hmm.
I already know at any moment somebody might show their true colors.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I really can trust you. On the flip side, there's this aspect of where I have friends that came from public schools. So like now for the first time, I'm hanging around black and white people at the same time. And I'm trying to like navigate that, you're kind of doing this code switching thing, like going back and forth and how and so then like in this culture, like in that culture where I grew up in, it was like, now there was different aspects to it where like I'm the Oreo now,
Mm-hmm.
like just,
Mm-hmm.
so it's like, I would love to have this apology from both sides. Like, Mark, you just being you. You actually grew up like this, but you also had aspects of this in your culture. So it's like I'm a mixture. I literally was a mixture as a young person, and trying to navigate that. I wish these people over here would apologize, and I wish these people over here would apologize on how they treated me in those moments, because I didn't know what to do with that. So then, like as I grew up as a young man, then it's kind of like I demand respect. Because I feel like you two disrespected me, and I wasn't strong enough to deal with it. I wasn't strong enough to stand up for myself. So now as an adult, like the moment I feel like disrespect, you see a different side of me. Like you're not gonna disrespect me. Like I ain't that same kid back in junior high where you can just say whatever. Like we gotta do what we gotta do. Like you're not gonna disrespect me.
Yeah.
And that's not always a good thing. I'll never forget. I was hooping and I was frustrated. I was angry inside, and this guy kind of disrespected me. So I took the thing to the next level, and I'm like, "What you talking about doing, man?" So this guy was like, "We can go to the cars right now and do whatever." All right, so I knew what he was saying.
Right.
I ain't about that life. I'm gonna be honest, I ain't about that life. And I sit there thinking to myself, like, "You're an idiot." Like,
You just open it up. Yeah.
I just fell right into that trap. So like if you don't deal with that stuff, like down the road, you just have these moments where you're like, I see it. I ain't dealt with it yet. I gotta let it go. You gotta heal from it. You gotta bring some closure to it. You it's not the past anymore because now it's in my present. So we gotta deal with the past. If I get in a car accident and I lose my arm, I'm never gonna be restored to the point where I have two arms. But there still needs to be some healing to take place.
Yeah.
And I function in this new reality. It's the same thing with the family. Your parents got a divorce. They're not gonna get back together. But we got to find some kind of healthy way to move forward.
That's right.
With the fact that my dad's over here. They might not even talk, but I still got to find a healthy place to like communicate with him, communicate with her, and they don't like each other or whatever. Like you got to find it. You got to find the closure. You got to find some kind of healing in all that. So that's man. Yep.
That was very vulnerable.
Oh yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. That was really vulnerable. And folks that don't know you personally, I think even them not knowing you, they could still hear that vulnerability.
Right.
Right. Because if somebody knows you, like they know how much that means to share that.
Right.
So thank you for sharing that.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sharing mine. No, I'm like, so we'll be quick. So I guess I think it's only fair for me to have to answer that question too. And one of the apologies that comes to mind is so as an early teenager, like freshman in high school, I've worked full time, and I worked full time ever since. So like the summer before becoming a freshman, right when I turned 14, I started working full time, and and I was just getting paid cash to clean up a store, and I worked 40 hours. When I say full time, I mean 40 plus hours every week. The school bus dropped me off at like on the corner at the store,
right?
Because that was his first stop to drop somebody off at home. I just got off on that stop, and in all 4 years, that's what I did.
Wow.
And all my money was going to bills. I wasn't wearing Jordans. Like I was dressed just regular as everybody else, or worse. And it
Were
was
you asked to do that?
no.
Okay.
So I wasn't asked, but I was definitely not stopped.
Okay.
If that makes sense. So dynamic is me and my mom are living alone. We're in a rental property, coming off of a couple years past a rough divorce that she had with her third husband, and at that point she was like, okay, no more marriage. But then she started going through real bad health problems. So now she's going through health problems. She can't work full time anymore after 30 some odd years of teaching in Dallas, and we don't have enough money to make it. Right. So she had this group of peers, and we had family. So like we had family that we had helped, and she had helped mainly for as long as I can remember before I was alive. Like she had helped them their whole lives, financially, emotionally, spiritually, like whatever it was. She was always there for everybody. She was like the matriarch, other than her mother. Like she was the matriarch. And then a lot of those responsibilities to a teenager, they fell to me because I thought that, like, well, that's my mom. Like in that value system that I learned, my North Star was to like be the leader.
Right.
It didn't have an age on it. So it's like, well, when you understand that, then you need to be the leaders. And I understood it. So I was like, well, I guess that's my obligation. So I need to lead. So I doubled down and focused just on taking care of the house. Now I graduated high school and stuff, and I did fine. But my focus, I don't even remember a single social event I went to in high school. I didn't really go to any. I didn't go to games. I didn't do any of that stuff because I was
Right.
working, and I was fine with that because it was aligned to what I thought I was supposed to be doing.
Okay.
What I saw, and I've addressed this with some folks, and I still have not had any single person own it. I saw my family, and I saw my mother's like family like friends that
Hmm.
are part of my family now. Like I saw those friends that were like seemingly there for her,
Right.
that she was there for, just disappear when she
And
when her health went down, and we needed like support and help, and like as a teenager, I'm carrying all this pressure. It went from either disappearance and just like they were doing their own thing and didn't really have much to contribute or care. And I'm not talking about money. I mean, like even just attention, like
right.
effort, anything. Come over, like something, check on her. Um, I'm talking like church friends, like 20, 30 year relationships, like real strong, and they were just gone. And then it went from that. So my mom went through a bout where she was going through so much pain, she had to take a lot of medication, and some of that medication was addictive,
Okay.
and she did get addicted to it. And she started to like she couldn't remember when she took it, and like all that kind of stuff, and all
Okay.
kinds of things were happening. She was hallucinating. Like it was she was not abusive of the medication. It was just too much.
Right.
Eventually, like when I became 17, 18, I was old enough to understand that, go to the doctor, have them change her prescriptions. Like I'm handling all of that.
Right.
Right. And in the meantime, the family's thinking like they start actually coming down on me about it. Like, well,
Being
you're not
blaming you.
blaming me for it,
Yeah.
explicitly blaming me for it. I even had one of her friends come threaten me about it. Like, don't make me get my husband come over there and and do whatever because you're not doing whatever you used to do. I'm just like,
Wow.
and I never got any of that. I never got any of that addressed. And I always, whether it's my family or on my mom's side, or it's her really deep friend group, I the apology I never got was for them not being there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that left me with two things. One, that left me harboring some resentment for a long time that I had to manage,
Yeah.
and realized that it was like toxic for me to carry that around. So I eventually just like put that down years ago. But having never got like had I gotten that apology, like just well, I mentioned it left me with two things. It left me with the resentment. It also left me though with this strength, like this
Yeah.
empowerment.
Yeah.
Because then I was like, I took care of my mom.
Right.
I take care of my mom better than I've even seen men take care of their wives, like
Right.
or their daughters. Like I this, so I got something here. I done figured
Yeah.
out something,
Yeah.
and it was the hard way, but I figured out something. So I
Yeah.
took that into my marriage and into raising children, and like I really took that into how I deal with my in laws, and how I deal with my wife's family. Like I am very family centric,
Yeah.
and for that reason, um, but I would say, like, had I gotten that apology, the level of support I would have felt, even if none of it was like there was no financial impact, it was just emotional support, I
Right.
would have felt so much more part of a community instead of isolated. And a man isolated is a dangerous situation.
Yeah.
Dangerous situation.
Yeah.
And I don't think all those folks are willing to look themselves in the mirror, because all of them are still alive right now. They're not willing to look themselves in the mirror and realize what the impact was of that
Yeah.
toward my mom,
Yeah.
like let alone toward me, like toward my mom. And I think that's really common. I think that dynamic is very common.
Yeah.
And alternatively, we could have such a strong family and community unit if we took account of those things,
Hmm.
right? And if we were able to articulate those things. And that brings me back to like even how we close, which is to take some time, young men, take some time and make the list right now while you're upset, and maybe add another piece, which is what's the apology you wish you had received from any of those folks on that list, and then finish it up with what's the one you need to give to. This sounds small. This is how we rebuild family units.
Right. Yep.
One interaction, one experience, one boy, one man at a time. That is how we rebuild the family unit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It starts at that fundamental level. It's not about go get a big mentor group, go, go start going to this church. Like all of those things are good things, but that is not alone how you're going to rebuild it. It's something in you is going to have to be made exposed.
Yeah.
And you're the only one that can do that.
Right. It's like all the work you just did, even being able to, you can tell when somebody's healed because they can talk about it, like logically talk about it. And like just hearing what you just shared, that's a lot, man, that you had to go through at 14, 15, 16, 17 years old. And it's like our young people today, I don't know, they need to be able to go through what you went through, but
right. I wouldn't wish that. Yeah.
But you should be able to process. That's like what healing is. Like if you can write those thoughts down, kind of wrestle with those thoughts, wrestle with God, wrestle with all of this, and come to some kind of closure where you can move forward in a healthy way. Like that's what we want our young people to be able to do. You don't learn that from social media.
Right.
You learn that from somebody who's done it. If you don't have an example of somebody who's done it, or you haven't seen it be done, they're not going to ever be able to do it. So it's like you as a father, me as a father, we got to pass this to our sons and our daughters. Like we got to pass this. What we've learned, we got to pass it down to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. And that healing didn't like come easy. Like I don't want to make it seem like I found that at 19. I didn't. Yeah. Like it was I was 30s. Yeah. By the time I figured that out. And I'm still 30s now. You know what I'm saying? So it was just yesterday. Now we hope this blesses somebody. And we're thankful for anyone who takes the time to listen. Thankful for the time we spend together too. And I'm just really, really grateful for what God has given us in this platform to bless others. So we hope that this helps, and we'll continue to share. Y'all have a great weekend, and we'll catch you next time.